Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. We are here today on Hypno Soul Talk, and it's been a beat. It's been a while. And hello, Alex. How are you? I have missed you guys' faces. I know that we've been on pause for the last week and a bit. It's just I'm going to explain why. I'm going to touch in on some tools, tips, and tricks on how the things that I utilize to kind of keep my calm, recenter myself, reground myself when things were getting a little chaotic and there was a lot of uncertainty and we got displaced and things were happening around me that I couldn't control, like I wasn't in control of and I couldn't change. I missed you guys so much, Alex. You know what? It was funny because on our regular lives, because I didn't have everything and I still don't kind of have everything that I normally have, I felt lost. Like I went through this period of loss because I love doing these lives. I love being here with you guys and having our morning coffee. I know we're a little bit later today, so we got morning water, lemon water. That's today's gift. But yeah, just getting back out, my routine just got a little shattered and kind of had to find my footing again. And that, and so one of the best things that I realized was that it was okay. And so this is going to be a really cool life because I want to share some really neat things that I discovered, some realizations and some tools and tips and tricks. So for those of you who don't know who I am, who are new to TikTok with me and new to my channel here on YouTube, The Journey of Jen Snow. I'm Jen Snow. I'm your soul regression coach. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, Reiki master, energy healer, medium, intuitive, and all of the above. So, and we're here to talk. Let's talk about it. Like there are things that happen in life that we can't control. And when we get into those situations, our pain and suffering body, the place that is our most triggered place, that place of hurt and sadness and every emotion that we've felt, if we are living in that space, it's like the perfect storm. It gets triggered and we begin to react from that space. And for those of you in Canada, we all know about, and for those of you in the US, I know that you guys are going through some fires and things like that. We're also doing that in the Kelowna, Vernon, BC kind of area. And that is actually the area where I live. And we had just moved there. So this is kind of our first season where we had to learn how to respond, how to prepare, and really prepare in the sense of making choices and being, are they the right choices? Are we doing the right thing? Is it, so for us, a lot of people that we know there have lived there for a long time. And so they've gone through these seasons before and these dry seasons. And so for my family, it was our first last year was a really wet year. And so we didn't really have that. We didn't have to go through it as much, but this year we definitely learned a lot. And I want to talk about that because we're all faced with different kinds of things in life, challenges, and each of us respond in a different way. And we all kind of figure out how we want to respond, how we want to work through things, what I noticed for me when things happened and the fire actually jumped the lake, it was only 15 minutes from our home. And so I happened to be in Langley on the coast working at the time, and my husband and the dogs were at home, and it was Thursday night last week, and he was like, yeah, he went for a drive, and it was super close to our house. And so we had to make some choices. We were, the alert was there, and we sat back, and unfortunately we're not prepared in a way that maybe we will be prepared next time. But we decided that he was going to pack up and leave. And so he left with the dogs because we had to step back in that moment. And it was a hard moment to really think about what was important and what mattered the most. And that's how I kind of approached this. And so for me, like the one thing that really helped me kind of get my mindset in a place where I could start to breathe, because we could go down we could go into the fear of it and the what ifs, because that's a really easy place to go. And I went there, the worst case scenario for us is that we were going to lose everything, and with inflation and everything around, didn't know if our house insurance would cover everything that we have and to rebuild. But when I sat and I thought about my worst case scenario, I had to ask myself this question. This is probably one of the most important questions I asked myself throughout this time. And just so we're clear, our house is actually, we're okay. We did come out okay on this. So there are a lot of people who are in a lot worse situations than I'm in. And so my friend Rochelle lives up in the Lake Country just outside. Yeah, it was funny. Where it jumped is actually at our favorite beach in Lake Country, and it's about a 12-minute drive, to be honest, from our house and the Okanagan side. And it was when it jumped that it was like, okay, we knew where it was moving on the other side, but when it got close enough that it was time to go. And when I had to step back and go, okay, what's the most important thing to me? And I realized that, like, flesh and blood, like, that is for me the number one thing. And when I was able to step back and look at that perspective, what was most important to me and what my worst case scenario was, I was able to, and it's from the work that I've done. I've done a lot of work around my triggers, around my fears, around my fear of loss, which you guys have all, those of you who are part of this channel, we did this live stream soul regression session so that you guys actually got to see what it looks like to do a soul regression session, what a hypnotherapy session looks like when you go into past lives, and the healing and the process that we utilize. And I know the work that I've done has really helped me get into this mindset, but there was times when I could get back into the anxiety, the stress, the fear. It wasn't there. It was that I had the ability to go, okay, and I've learned this from all the research and the training that I've done, is what is your worst case scenario? And actually talking through that worst case scenario. Okay, what does that mean to me? How does that resonate with me? And, how do I resonate with that? And those are, like, again, those three questions. I've talked about this all the time. Those major three questions really help me map things out. You must know Duck City. I guess Duck City. I don't know if I know Duck City. I'm fully gonna admit, with just moving to the area, Josh and I have kind of like named things that, like, we're like, oh, like Pebble Beach and these things, and then we find out that's really not their name, but we didn't know the names, and we made up names, and we're like, oh yeah, that area, and everybody's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We have so I'm not sure where Duck City is. But we have turtles. And so yeah, we looking at the worst case scenario and what was most important to me, and being able to really stay focused on what was most important. And that was one way I started getting myself out of that fear space, that what if space, the deep, like, oh my God, this is happening to me. And so I just really every day checked in, and checking in was a big thing to stay positive or stay in a place where I wasn't reactive and I was responding, and staying in that place and really just checking in. Okay, yes, this is still the most important thing with me, and that I know, okay, we're good there. So it didn't make the other side hurt less, the possibility, but it did allow me to go, okay, if this happens, what's my plan? And not that every plan, I could make 1,000 plans, and when you're finally in it, plans have to be adaptable. But I did have a plan in my head. I was like, okay, so if it hits us, what is our plan? What are the things that I need to do in order to, begin whatever process is? And I have no idea what that process is. I was just kind of sitting down and writing out, making my checklist of, this happens, I'm going to start here and I'm going to try and work myself through, and knowing that isn't going to always be how it is. And I was okay with that. I made peace with the fact that the process it's going to go differently than I would like it to go. And but having that list and having that kind of, okay, I put it on paper. I now know that I've got this little moment, and it's a very insignificant piece of paper when you really think about it, because the process is probably very different than the way I think it should be. But just having that helped me reground and recenter myself into the moment versus living into the future and getting outside of myself. So I was doing things to bring myself back to the moment. And so checking in, having my list of things that I wanted to that the way I thought it might go. But just being able to get it down and get it out of my head, stop the replay, stop the story, stop the hamster wheel from going 1,000 miles a minute. Because once the hamster wheel is going in my head, I'm an overthinker. I own it. I know it. So these are some ways that I've managed my overthinking, because I can really go, and then I can, and I can and it's funny because I'm saying it out loud now. It's kind of like, oh my God. I can stick to a story. I can see the narrative happening in my head, and I can repeat when I get stuck. It's like, you're stuck on rewind and you keep rewinding the same part of the show. I can definitely do that. And I have that hamster wheel, and it does often. Usually it goes into my creative space, but it can be in that pain body space. And so I have to really make sure. And one of the questions I ask when the hamster wheel is going for me is, where's this coming from? And yes, the pups are here, and they're out of their routine. So they're a little, especially Walker, our little Rottweiler puppy. He really loves his routine. And so he's finding it a bit hard to adapt here in Langley right now, as we stay here, just to make sure everything's all good. And so, yeah, you will hear him because he's being him, which is perfect. He's learning. And that's another thing, like, with the other side of that is my hamster wheel. When it gets going, I can be consumed by it. So I have to ask myself, where's this hamster wheel coming from? What part of me is driving my hamster wheel, my overthinking? And one of the things that I tend to do is just, and I ask this question all the time to myself and to clients, is this an opportunity or a challenge? And what I mean by that in that question, is this an opportunity or a challenge? Is this something that is showing me where maybe there's a chink in my armor, or there's something that I need to maybe become a little more consciously aware of? Or is this an opportunity to show me that, where I was and now where I am, and the work that I've done? So the mindset, the constant shift in mindset to help re-navigate what was going on and where my head was at. And again, that's the checking in with my mindset. Where's my mind right now? And for the first couple of days when we didn't know what was going to happen, it was really like, every couple hours I would check in and be like, I had a little timer on my phone, check in. And I was checking in. Where's your narrative going? Where's your conversation going right now? What story and loop are you getting stuck on? And what is that? What tone is that bringing? Is that promoting, challenges or opportunities? And is the opportunity to step back and go, okay, I am able to overcome the triggers that I've had in the past. The story, the narrative that or is it like, hey, you know what? This emotion's coming up for me. Is this mine? Yeah, it is. Okay, what does that emotion mean to me? How does it resonate with me? How do I resonate with it? How do I carry it? And, and I would sit down and I would meditate on those little questions. And I didn't get the answers right away. And, can be the most impatient person in the world with myself. I'm patient with everybody else in the world. I got that down to a T, but with myself, I'm like, how come I didn't hear the answers? Like, why are my guys talking to me? Where's my higher self? And step back and go, okay, when I'm ready to receive those answers, I'm going to be open to it. And I just ask for the synchronicities. So those were two ways that I really stepped back and tried to get my hamster wheel not going as fast as it could be, or driving a direction that was going to be creating more stress, more fear, more insecurity, more imbalances. And when it did go that route, when I did start to like worry and the what if and I tried not to watch the news, but there were some times I did check in, and you could feel your pulse going. And okay, those are the times, especially for me watching the news, I got to check in with myself. What's going on? What did I absorb? Where, what does this mean to me? And just really make sure that we get back to that present, and reminding myself that there are things out of my control, and I, can't change some things. I can't change what happens. But what I can do is work at making sure that when and if the worst case scenario happens, that I allow myself to be in the process. And part of my process was stepping back from being online. As much as I miss being here, was like, okay, I'm discombobulated. My thoughts are all over the place. And I just need to take a minute and a beat. And I didn't want to worry people because I know how much care and love is out there. And until I knew what was really going on and what the outcome was going to be, I didn't want to create more stress in the world, in the collective. So, and that was one of those things. So I just think these are the tools that I use instead of, talking about it outwardly. I was just making sure that I put the tools that I share with my clients, like I'm putting those to work and actually adapting them. So, sometimes, theory, concept, fact. Those are some really interesting ways to look at things, because a lot of things in the beginning become theories and concepts. And then as we put them into play, they can become more concrete facts or, outcomes. So the other thing was keep moving. And what I mean by keep moving is one of the other tools when I really couldn't get out of the hamster wheel, when the emotions were high, when your mind is racing, the story's going, is taking a step back and go out and get going, do something that, go for a walk, go for a run, just get moving, get your body going, and give your body some time just to and your mind some time to focus on an activity. For me, it was going for a walk. It was doing my little workout that I could do with what I had here. And I was doing that, making sure that I spent some time moving every day, so that because when I move, I meditate. When I walk, when I ride the bike, when I do those things, the bike didn't come. So I had to ad lib. I had to do ab workouts and things like that. But get moving. And what it did is it allowed me to settle, allowed me to center, allowed me to ground in my activity. And my activity was, enough movement and focus that it gave me a time lapse of, not forgetting about what was going on in Kelowna, but it gave me a moment just to reset, to go, okay, I'm going to shift out of that for a second. I'm going to take my 20 minutes. I'm going to focus on my workout. I'm going to focus on my walk and being in nature and just taking time to listen to the wind and the leaves, to listen to the birds, the sounds of, what was going on around me, and just really focus on honing in on that. And every time I got distracted, I came back to it. Every time my mind wandered, I brought myself back when I noticed. And that was a really powerful way to get myself a 20-minute break, instead of, getting out of the worry, getting out of the stress, getting out of the possibilities, the what ifs. So that was something, get moving. And it doesn't have to be strenuous. It just has to be something that can keep your attention, get yourself here. And when I found every time I would do the 20-minute workouts, that I would be able to breathe after. I didn't go straight to what was happening at home. I came back to, okay, what am I feeling? I was able to check in. And I noticed that every time I would go outside and throw the ball for Walker, that was part of my get moving, because I was focused with him. Like, there was just little things that I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. This is what I can put into place. It's not going to fix the outcome potentially, but it can help me be a little more centered and grounded when having to navigate it through it. Instead of my emotions leading the way, I started to be present, and I, started to be, centered and grounded. And that was really one of the biggest things. Oh, thank you for the rose, Jillian. Don't even know what the roses mean, but thank you. I know it's something to do with the goals, because I figured out you can put goals for TikToks and things like that. So yes, we are streaming live on both places. And the other thing that I use, and I use this every day, but I really had to change the topic, and my topic was focused on, for me, it was being grateful for our home, and grateful for the mountain, and grateful for the trees and everything. Like, I really did do a gratitude morning and night before going to bed, and waking up around just the area, and knowing that the circumstances may be very different, but just kind of keeping that energy, and grateful for the fact that I had to challenge myself. I had to take this opportunity to really look at my own perspective and mindset, and make sure that perspective and mindset, you got to live what you preach. And that's a big thing. Doesn't mean that I don't fail. I am not perfect. I am human. I stumble and I land in the mud all the time. And I'm used to landing in the mud. I'm used to those like moments where I thought a concept would work, but it didn't. And so you have to adjust it. You have to, navigate it. And so gratitude, being grateful for the time that we had, and just really staying in that mind frame when going to bed and getting up, because I am the kind of guy that can hamster wheel and not sleep at night. Like, I'm really good at that. I can do that. That can be something that is definitely on my forte of I've mastered that. It's not what I want to do. So my gratitude practice is something that helps me not let the hamster wheel take over when I'm trying to get some rest and need some rest and to reset. And so, making sure that I made sure that was non-negotiable. I sometimes forget my gratitude practice, and I wake up in the morning and my thoughts go like crazy. And I'm like, oh yeah, didn't do that this morning. But during these tough times, during these times of uncertainty and displacement and worry and stress, gratitude, even if it was one thing, if I couldn't think of more than one thing, I only thought of one thing. And that was okay. I was okay with that. I had no expectations that I could come up with more than I did. End up only one day where I was really in it, and like it was the Friday, and I was really worried about dogs and Josh getting down here and getting out and being safe. But and that was only the one thing. I was just grateful that we had made that decision, that he was going to leave, and we would deal with the outcome when it happened. So gratitude, finding a piece of gratitude somewhere. Even if it's being grateful with the way you're being aware of your mindset, even if it's grateful that, you're grateful for the fact that you took the time to be active, to keep moving, to get going, to maybe gratitude for the check-in, utilizing the tools that you have learned and putting them from theory to concept to fact to is. And the other one was when I really get out of it, like where my hamster wheel was really going. And especially watching the news, I'm not going to lie, the news can sets me off into a whole other thing. Was my countdown, five down to one. I would count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, deep breath. And I would practice breathing in calm or steadiness and breathing out the worry, the stress, the thoughts, the random like ideas, the story, and actually visualizing, imagining, feeling it just floating away, and knowing that it was going to the ether so that that energy could be returned. And that was my mantra when I would really get into it. Another thing I use is, your mind cannot be calm and stressed at the same time. So I would focus on that inner breath being composed and comprised of that what I wanted to feel. And most of the time it was centered and grounded. It was never peaceful and calm. It was just like what I needed to be sturdy and strong and be able to be adaptable and flexible with whatever news came our way. And so I thought about that. So that was my like mantra, was what I needed to, take and need to promote and kind of work with if the news came. And it doesn't mean I wasn't going to be emotional. It doesn't mean I wasn't going to have like tears and I was going to feel everything. But I wanted to make sure that before, instead of, determining and going down that mindset, I wanted to really make sure I reset. So sturdiness and centeredness, groundedness and strength, and then blowing up the fear and just giving my body time to go, okay, we can feel grounded, we can feel in balance. Even though, we may get out of balance, we can come back to that balance. I checked in with my center, and the countdown really kind of just interrupted the flow of the hamster wheel, the thought pattern, the emotions. I'm not saying it's bad to feel, like you got to feel, right? But I wanted to make sure that I was feeling it versus owning it. And what I mean by owning it is that being the only place that I can see the world through. And one of the things that happened over this last couple of weeks before everything happened with Mother Nature, with Gaia, I was really challenged with a circumstance where somebody challenged me and came at me and realized that a lot of my pain and suffering body is no longer the place where I see through, the place I react from. I was able to stay calm and compassionate and kind and, really take this ugly moment and be very conscious and aware of how I was going to respond to it and how I was going to interact with it. And having that event, which I'm going to touch more on another podcast about how Hypno has definitely changed a lot of things not only, how it works and some other things, but having that event and that perspective coming out of that event before this next event really kind of opened my eyes on the check-in and seeing where you're at and those challenges and the countdown and being able to count down from 5 down to 1 and interrupt the reaction time versus the response, choosing to respond instead of reacting from my past self, the past version of me that was still creating and living and being in my pain and suffering body. I was able to, that countdown really solidified that I could look at that, observe it, understand it, and then choose my response. And response doesn't mean I didn't have emotions. I definitely had emotions, but they weren't dictating my words, my response, my conversation, my tone, my body language, my thoughts. And so that event and then this next event happening, I was able to take that and really understand that, looking at it from the observer witness perspective, even though it was very, very dear to my heart, showed me where I had some still work to do and where I have done, where that work comes from. And stepping back and looking at events like that and moments like that is how, again, coming back to it, what does it mean to you? How does this resonate with you? How do you resonate with it? And actually having that time to have that conversation, that 5 down to 1 gave me that time. And it really gave me that pause, because when I meditate, when I go on my soul journeys, I utilize 5 down to 1 to get me into that deep space of connection and openness. And so it just kind of gave me that little time. And so you got to find your time that is not responding, but it's giving you a choice to go, how do I want to respond? It gives you a split second. It's like taking a sip of water in an interview. Take that sip of water in an interview, and it allows your mind to come up with the answer to the question that you've just been asked with a little more clarity, confidence, and understanding. And that was another thing that I use for 5 down to 1 for. So that's something that another tip to in stressful times, in stressful moments, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like taking that sip of water when you don't have a sip of water. It just gives you a little bit of a split second to formulate how you want to respond and where you're responding from. And so, those are the things that I used over this last week, and actually 2 weeks, to be honest with you, these last 2 weeks of 2 different big events in our lives that could have challenged, and it could have, our outcomes could have been way worse. I'm not going to lie. So I'm very grateful for that. But, taking time to give yourself the time, taking time to give yourself what you need to manage in a way the stress level that you're going through, to help, if I'm not saying you can not to be stressed, because that's something we're all going to go through. Our bodies, our minds, our bodies, our energy is going to go through the stress, but these tools will work with the mind, body, soul, the mind, body vibration. And when we can tap in individually into the mind, body vibration and check in with them and have tools that help each different facet of your whole go, okay, the body's checked in, I've moved, did something, I kept moving, I created an activity. The mind, I've checked in with the mindset, I've done my meditation, I've done my gratitude, I've checked in just to see where my story is, I've done my 5 down to 1. The vibration is, when you check in with your vibrational self, it is literally going, okay, where do I feel imbalanced? Where in my chakra system am I feeling like it's off balance? What am I noticing about my overall energy levels? Am I depleted? Am I exhausted? Am I feeling, that I have the energy, I have the time, am I feeling energized, rejuvenated, nourished? Even though you're going through a lot, you can still check in with your vibration. You can still check in by, sitting with your chakras, asking your vibrational self, even the part of you that is in charge of your vibrational being, what does it need right now? Where do you feel yourself depleted? Or doing a 14-minute meditation when you place your hands over each chakra, 2 minutes on each chakra, and just breathe in that sturdiness, that calm, that balance, and let go of anything, any unwanted energy that, or just simply letting that go and just every chakra going through. Or if you don't have time, you don't have 14 minutes because chaos is happening, call back to your energy that is solely yours and yours alone from any time, direction, reality, plane, multiverse, dimension. And And breathe at home. Breathe your energy back to home base until you feel your cup full. Your eyes can be open. You can be out doing things. You're like, yeah, I'm going to call my energy home right now. The other tool that I used to keep myself a little in balance is I invited the elements of Gaia and ether to just create a dome of protection around me so that I was in a space of my energy. So I wasn't taking on the energy around me from everybody else or the collective. I was able to, and that was another tool I used, just because when I get into the collective, I feel everything because I'm empathic, and I've been able to do this my entire life. And it doesn't always work out that great because I can get caught in the emotions of the collective. And I know we're going through a lot right now. I know there's a lot that we're going to have to overcome, and there's a lot of things happening, and it can be very chaotic and very uncomfortable. So for my vibrational self, I asked the element of wind, fire, earth, and water and the ether to create a dome around me, and just let that dome be a space where my energy resided and mine only, so that I could be in touch with my own energy and I could work with what I needed to work with to keep myself feeling centered and grounded. And for the most part, I was very successful. There were times where I teeter-tottered on the wrong side for a little while, but I just, being kind and compassionate with yourself in those times too, knowing that you're going to get caught in a moment, you're going to get caught in an emotion, and that's okay, because when we become aware of it, we can then sit with it and work through it. If, even if it's a minute, it could be, maybe you have more time, but just that acknowledgement that, like, okay, I see what I'm feeling. I understand what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling. I'm just going to I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to be soft with myself. I'm going to let myself have this moment of cry and tears and see where that takes me, see what it shows me, see what I can take from that. Is it just from what is this something that is a thread or a reoccurring emotion pattern, something that I'm constantly living from, or is this just because I'm experiencing this in the present? Is this just present? And, again, asking yourself questions, be curious about what's happening, what's going on within your internal landscape. And you may, like I said, you may not get the answers right away, but you will begin to get understanding. You will begin to open the door for that information, those synchronicities to guide you, to show you, and to help you. And you may have those synchronicities show up when you least expect it, or you may have those aha moments show up when you're like, really? It's 6 months later, but you're ready for it. So start getting curious. And when you get curious, you have fun with the tools. I know that it's very serious times, and I'm not taking away from the seriousness of what we are going through right now. But one thing, like, if it's a chore, if checking in is a chore, you're not going to do it. If getting moving for 5 minutes is a chore, it's not going to it's not going to, have its purpose. So find things that make it a little more enjoyable, even though we are in some unenjoyable times. But just, your gratitude. If you have to do it, it's not gratitude. If you choose to do it, you get into that flow and vibration, that frequency of gratitude. Everything, your management tools, your tools to bring you back home, bring you back to center, bring you back to feeling grounded even in the eye of the storm. They do have that free, like, if it's a chore, it just makes it puts it out of vibration. It puts it out of frequency that is effective. So pick things that you resonate with. And that's the other, biggest thing I can say is pick your tools that resonate with you. If it's journaling, writing it down, writing everything down, everything you're feeling, every emotion, and just getting it on paper, let it come out, let it have an outlet, find your outlet and utilize your outlet, and have several different outlets, because I learned during this time is not all of my outlets worked every day. I had to actually change things up, and I had to choose from my tool bag to every day, so that it was something new, because I found with myself that sometimes doing the same thing, I could fake it. I could totally go through the motions, but I really wasn't connected to it. So I learned that very quickly on Friday, that I had to choose different outlets so that I couldn't just go through the motions. And I know that about myself. So I, made sure that when I was in my space of panic, worry, stress, that I looked in my toolbox and was like, okay, this is the tool I'm going to resonate with today. And this is what I'm resonating with. I'm going to use this. And maybe 6 hours later, I chose something different. Not going to lie. So it just, having a toolbox is so in my opinion, really important so that you can pick and choose based on what you need that in that moment, and know that you have a variety of options that you can utilize to help you move forward in the best way you can, and to help yourself in the very best way that you can. So, and if you get stuck and you get on that hamster wheel, again, just remember to be kind. It's okay. We all do. We all get on that hamster wheel. We all get exhausted from our healing journeys. We all get exhausted and have, healing journey hangovers. And that's okay too, because we just got to listen and ask your body, what does it need? What does your mindset need? What does your vibration need? And give yourself the opportunity just to, go, okay, I may not hear you right now because I can't hear you, but I'm going to choose this tool in my toolbox that hopefully will make room and space for me to hear what I really need. That's really going to help me get back to my center, back to my zone. So that is what today's show is about. For those of you who are new here, thank you for the new subscribers. I'm blown away. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. We are going to be back consistent. We will be back live next Wednesday. We are going to be back to meditations, and we're going to be back to our morning coffees. And we do have some shows with Jen Dodds coming up, and some more soul regression sessions where we're going to be working through different frequencies and vibrations. So, yeah. Oh, Steve, the barking has begun. It's just because, this is what, they're not knowing this barking. Most of you who've been here a while know a walker just comes in and grunts, but yeah, he's still a little off-centered. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. I think it's West Kelowna. I haven't been out there. West Kelowna. Cool. Love your face too, Alex, and we will see you soon. So thank you guys here on TikTok. Thank you on YouTube. Like I said, we'll be back to normal. We'll be back to our regular shows. Meditation Wednesday. We got some soul regression therapy sessions coming out where we're gonna channel into the frequency of different topics, so that not only can we unwind that topic in the collective, but also to create a space of vibrational, energetic healing on a personal level. So if this is something that you're interested in, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and then that little bell that notifies you when we do go live, because we're going to be doing more of those shows too, more of those. But we're just, instead of it being my personal journey, it's going to be a collective journey, and we're going to tap into that vibration and unwind that vibration and create space for healing and healing at the higher level, the legacy, generational, and personal soul healing, and the unwinding of the past life and the alternate life or progressive life and timelines, so that you can move forward, released from those energies that aren't serving your highest and greatest good. So that's coming up. That'll be new. And there are workshops coming. So that's the other thing. If you hit the subscribe button, there will be several workshops starting to come out that are going to help you connect with your inner journey, your inner self, to create change and shift the level of connection that you have. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. We will be chatting soon. Much love. And thank you for all your support and concern, for all of you that reached out. I really do appreciate it. We are good. We are safe. And we're going to have some fun coming up. So, all right, guys, cheers.